And good news, you got on this page, it shows your water loss. So I think it's been high over some years, but you guys had really only 1%, which is amazing. And the non-revenue water is 8. Yeah. But was it like changing out the meters? Oh, sure. All right. You guys are good. Hello? Can you hear me? No.
You're on the altar. What it is you're on the altar and all your sounds get sucked up.
Oh, I'm Jenny, and I'm the CPA that has been working with the village for 1 year or 2 years, but the town, 36 years. So, yeah. So I do the annual compilation for the financial statements, and yeah, the sound is on. So I was talking about the water utility. The water utility is regulated by the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin, so you have to file an annual report. So there's one thing that we're going to talk about water loss. And water loss. Lost it. That's good news. No, it's too loud. Okay. So, okay, is that better? Yeah. Okay. All right, so the financial statement, you guys want to open those up, we'll talk about it. So there's, the village of Greenleaf is new this year. The village of Greenleaf is new this year, first time for the general fund because they were part of the town in all the prior years. So the town of Wrightstown split, it was pretty close to 50-50. So the first year of having a general fund and the first year of doing your budget, and I'm going to go to page 5. If you guys want to just go, I'm just going to highlight some things. If you guys have questions, you can ask me. So for the general fund budget, you can see in your revenues, you actually were over budget, about 160,000, and that was pretty much primarily because you did the road work for Follow Street, and then you were able to charge some reimbursement from So the expenditures were over budget by 168, but then you got that money back in the revenue, so it kind of netted to 0. The general government, I think, like legal fees, there were some additional costs for the incorporation that were carried through 2025. So I think in the general government, there was a little more expenditure just because of the incorporation process. So hopefully that will level off now going forward. The fund balance is still very healthy for the village of Greenleaf. I know the Department of Administration, you guys are incorporated. They were worried because you're a smaller village, but we did step to it, and we've done a little more tax base. Your general fund is in good shape. So general fund is good, and I think this year's budget will be better. So that's the general fund. So if you have questions on what is in the general fund, I think you can figure it out. It's like your public works, public safety, the general fund. So we'll talk about the water utilities. And I don't know what to do. I'm not a tech person. Okay. Then we'll talk about the water and sewer utilities. So good news on water, not only does water have low water loss, which is a good thing because there's a lot of things that apply to that on some of the extra costs. You're treating, the more you're pumping water, the more you're treating it, that's cost for chemicals, pumping costs. So, it does keep your costs down. So if you guys want to go to page 8, I'm just going to highlight the water and sewer and look at the cash flow. So The water utility, if you guys didn't notice, you had a little bit of a rate decrease this year, because when you switched to the village, we had to do a rate study with the PSC, and the data showed that you were generating enough revenue, so you actually had a small decrease in your water rates this past year, and it's still there. So there was no increase due to incorporation, it was actually a decrease, which was good news. The water utility is generating, if you look at the first subtotal, you generated about $87,000 from operating cash, so that's operating revenues, that's the user charges, minus the expenses you're paying to your employees and your suppliers. You generated $87,000. We want to see that that's enough to pay your debt. Your debt is about $20,000, so you had plenty to pay your debt, and you actually did some capital improvements, and you were able to cash flow the capital improvements, which is a good thing. Water utility is in great shape. And the end of the year, you have $806,000 in your cash. So that money in there, you think that's a lot of money, but there's always some water project that's coming up, and this way you guys will have cash to help fund it rather than issue debt, which is, you're in a good position. Sewer utility, there were a couple changes this year. You guys probably got your tax bills and noticed that they were lower because we had to pull off, because of the incorporation, we couldn't tax just the sanitary district, because if we put the levy for the sanitary district on the tax bills, it would have hit everybody that wasn't in the sanitary district, because you're now in the village. So we had to take that levy, which was roughly $50,000, off the tax bills, and that's why your sewer rates went up. So if you look at your tax bill, it went down, your sewer rates went up. It should be close to even. It's not going to be perfect, but for any of you that have a question, you can talk to Stephanie about that. The sewer utility, you guys just did a major project, and I know there's more coming up. We were looking at those sewer rates. So the sewer utility has a nice cash balance. I think we're going to get a better picture in 26 because there were some additional costs with the phosphorus. Those are uncontrollable. You guys can, I think it was like 90,000 this year. Is it going to stay that high? It should go down. Okay, good. Good. The compliance. Okay. So the reason why the sewer utility had a negative 45,000 in that first subtotal, you had about 100,000 of that phosphorus compliance with the DNR that you can't control. So once those go away, eventually, I hope, then the sewer utility should be able to fund, their itself. And I know there's other projects. Yeah, phase 2 is coming up. So once you do phase 2, we'll relook at the rates and we'll get a better idea on if we do need to do another increase or not. And like I said, the DNR mandates those, so you guys are in the same position as a lot of utilities that I work with across the state. In fact, your rates are actually probably one of the lower ones of the governments I work for. I hate to say it, but I think that you are. There's just some crazy rates out there. So unless you guys had any questions, that's pretty much a summary of where you're at with your water sewer general funds. Unless Stephanie wanted to add anything?
I don't have anything to add, but how much I appreciate Jenny. She does a really good job for us, you guys. And she's not going to boast, but I am. Jenny got the gold star. Her report was the first one in this year.
And after we incorporate things, we'll get a little bit neater.
Well, now that we got our own cash flows and all of our own highways things, all of our own funding is coming to us now, so it's probably easier to change.
Right. There's no more splits. Last year, between Donna and Stephanie, we were pretty flexible. We did a lot of splits. We were splitting everything, the taxes, the state aids, but now with the DOR, we got everything set where you guys have your own state aids. Everything's coming to you. I think there may only be one or two things you're sharing, the village hall and yeah.
DOR is what?
The Department of Revenue that gives them the state shared revenue is their state aids. They were giving them all to the town. Last year we had to manually split them. Yeah. This year they got their own letters and we could budget a little better. So
Very much appreciated.
This isn't part of the public comments. I was hoping that when it was on the agenda for the ordinance, that we'd have an opportunity to speak. And we couldn't hear you well, so if we missed that, I'm trying to speak now. I did receive the letter from the attorney that Donna passed along, and it was a recap of what was mentioned in the January 11th meeting, that the feeling from the board and the attorney is that the ordinances that we have are sufficient, as well that nothing needs to be changed or updated, and we are all in good shape concerning an AI data center. And therefore, since our ordinances, they feel are all in shape, we don't need a moratorium. However, the community still has some concerns regarding this. We think it's a great step that the ordinances do address some of those things. We understand that in order for anything to happen, it would have to be rezoned, and that would take place by the board and the planning commission. But we would like to work together, so we're hoping, since a moratorium does not seem to be like a favorable outcome for you, what we would like to suggest is forming a committee with some of the people from the board as well as some of the people from the community. So we feel good about it at night that, you know, we were approached once, that we could be approached again. Can we look at that as an option?
Please, please.
Okay, that's a great idea, great idea. But my question back is, okay, we, number one, we're a small village. And this is eating up our budget for our attorney fees, for one thing. He has explained, and anybody that wants a copy of what he sent, you are more than welcome to get a copy of what he sent. It explains so clearly that the data center cannot come here. It cannot. The zones have to be changed. It has to go through the board.
Right.
There's so much that has to go in place. This board is not going to go to put a data center that's going to eat up half of our village.
Can I comment?
Yes.
I don't think, from what I've heard, it's just about this desk. It's about ordinances that will protect the values of the village across the board. For example, the thing, which I will call it, no one really talked about forever chemicals in our environment, getting into our air, into our food, lowering the children's IQs, because they're going to get big money, you know, those type of things need to be looked at. I do not know when you rezone, are you rezoning with a particular project in mind? Is that environmental information coming out of the DNR before you make this deal with these people who rezone? And what is on that environmental?
Yeah.
We're not going in.
But you will, and we're not talking AI centers. I think what the people are interested in, from what I heard at the informational meeting that was held in Wrightstown, is the overall thing about things like this moving in. Because in our, to get incorporated as a village, the premise was, the statement to the state was, that the village residents would have input on what goes into this village. It's not just the AI center. That's the worst of the worst. It would have wiped out the village. People wouldn't have been able to live here. But what about what's included in this environmental impact? I'm just not talking birds. I'm talking people trying to get something made and that impact on the village. And is before you rezone and then get all the environmental impact statement. Is that the way it works? Or is all the environmental
We have to
impact?
have all information in front of us before we even consider to rezone anything. And the people of our village are always at the top of our list. We have to look you in the face every day. We're not gonna put anything here that's gonna,
It got pretty close.
no, it did not, it did not. It never got anywhere, not close at all. And anybody that told you it did not.
Well, what?
So if there's false information going out there, I'm gonna tell you right now, plain and clear as day, that data center had no shot in hell of coming to the village of Greenleaf.
But they were offered to buy
They
property.
were offering, but we can, people said, don't sell. If you don't want it, don't sell your land. And even if they sell the land, they would have bought all of that, every ounce of it. But if this village said, we don't want that here, we're not zoning that here, and it's not gonna pass here, they would be some landowners of a whole lot of land with nothing to put on it because we wouldn't let it go. So all the talk in the background and stuff just has to kind of stop, because it never got close, it never will. You, the people of this village, are our number one concern and always will be, because what else would be the point of us sitting up here?
To listen what we're asking for, again and again.
But, okay, what is the committee gonna do, other than rile things up and make things, yeah, you can look to the future, might. We have so much to deal with that's right on our plate now.
Right.
So why was it a secret?
It wasn't a secret.
Well, actually,
What was the secret, Jim?
no.
Where? What was the secret?
Why did you bring it up so late after you guys already knew about it?
No, we did not.
Yes, you did.
You said
You said
You
in
did.
September that you should have talked about it.
The Greenleaf Press Gazette
You just
reported
read the
it.
article.
In
Hold on.
In September, we came to a presentation. We didn't know what we were walking in on. As soon as we knew what it was, we let them know how we got to where we got and how we became a village. On the incorporation stuff, I was your head on the incorporation. I'm the one who's seen that through the whole way, last 7 years of my time. So as soon as we found out what it was for, we said we weren't interested and they could leave. That was the end. There was no formal proposal, nothing came across my desk, not one thing.
I think
You were proposed money for your land, you went to the news, not to your board.
I think what people were upset about were the quotes from the town chair that said, you just can't say no to these people.
You can't. We
And-
can't sue it.
And,
We have to
but I
entertain
think
it.
that was confusing the public.
And it may have,
I
I
think
apologize for
that,
that.
I think that the village president's comment that, well, we have to look into this and see what all the details are, when that was published, I think that said, your quotes gave the impression that there was something else going on.
There was nothing going on, you guys, there was nothing.
But the day I found out was the day a neighbor came to my door and said somebody was offered for their land.
Okay, so let's skip the AI center, let's address just the ordinance problems that are affecting it. I think that's what people are saying, and that's what they want to be, people want to be confident about that. And to call your villagers a bunch of riled up lunatics that went crazy, I think helps. So the AI,
Who did
you said, I make one bad decision, you were quoting, and the village goes crazy. It was in the newspaper.
I said, if I make a mistake, then the people go crazy. Is this not normal here? It's not craziness, I'm not.
This is normal. There's communities all over Wisconsin having this fight. The residents having to be stressed and try to work with their board. And there was secrecy. There could have been stuff that was said. It could have been shared, so the residents would know.
What information did you want?
An AI center is talking to us about putting an AI
There
center.
was a presentation.
If you don't want it,
That is it.
then put it in your zoning
zoning right now. It's so easy to do. Or do a moratorium where you can take a year break and figure out what you want to do. But you're asking the people to trust you forever and ever and ever for people who have children and more children. No, just right now, like other communities are doing, you can change the zoning to prohibit a certain type of industrial business, however you want to do that. And that's what communities all over Wisconsin are asking for. So this is not unusual at all.
Yeah, I think you should be shaming the landowners that did bring it to you first.
No, I would never do
I
that.
mean, you're blaming them. They had somebody come to them and ask them a question.
No, I'm saying that the leaders knew, and they chose not to have those conversations.
They did not say
They did not know.
I found about it on,
Knew
when
there was a
it was on the
proposal.
news, is when the first time I heard about it.
That's
Was when it was on the
It
news
wasn't
already.
the first time that you heard the word Cloverleaf. That's all I'm saying. But you need to do something now and make it right and listen.
Because we didn't deal with Cloverleaf. No, it was a different company. It was never Cloverleaf. No. That is neither here nor there. You were approached. No, we were asked to sit down and watch a presentation. And I have, trust me. Not approached, a presentation. Okay. You have my sympathy because I know what big time gaslighters are. I've had to deal with them. You ain't got a chance nowadays. I know what you face. So I know the presentation, was like, but I don't think you understood the impact of that, the whole thing.
Well, I definitely understood the impact. I was the petitioner of the incorporation. This is the community that I want to live in, and this is how I want the community. Otherwise, I wouldn't have given all my time to that incorporation. So I'm pretty sure I know what the community wants.
And I think we have to get off the attack thing. We're looking at the future. Okay, the AI center's out. You've given us our word. It's not happening. We just don't want to see a similar situation again where something moves in that destroys human habitat. That's all.
Well, we can't stop people from approaching people on buying their land. I mean, I don't know about anybody else in this room. I get 2 phone calls a month about wanting to sell my home. I can't stop them from doing that, and neither can the federal government. So I don't know how you guys want us to put an ordinance in place from somebody approaching you to purchase your land.
That's not the ordinance we're asking.
But if you read the information for you guys, it'll explain everything. He puts in there what is allowed, what we can't have here. It tells you everything you need to know.
I have the letter, and a lot of people did not receive it. It's a 4-page letter. I'm not going to read all 4 pages. But I will post to the community Facebook group the 4 pages, all right? And it goes into explain what we've heard in the last meeting. Go out, read your ordinances, and we're good. But what's concerning is the area where it says, the only way a data center could legally be constructed in either the town or the village would be if A, the town's or village's planning commission, as applicable, determines that a data center would be an acceptable use in either the community's business or limited industrial zones, or B, if the town board or the village board, as applicable, amends the zoning ordinances to allow data centers as either a permitted or conditional use, with a conditional use being an allowed use subject to reasonable conditions placed on such use by the municipality. As such, there is no need for a specific ordinance or moratorium that addresses the data centers. Simply put, under the town's and village's ordinances, they are not allowed. What concerns me about this is there are a select handful of people, and I understand, and you've mentioned so many times that you know what this community wants, but when we come and we tell you that we understand what the ordinances say, but we are just asking for more teeth added to it. We want to be a deterrent to some of these. We're not asking for no development. I don't think you're listening or understand what we're saying, or we wouldn't be here tonight. And I'm not comfortable with the statement that everything is good in these 4 pages outlined by the attorney when you say it will not come to be unless it's voted by those 2 to 3 people, 3 people and then 2 majority rules. That's what I find concerning, and it's mentioned 2
Before any of
times.
that happens, there would have to be a public hearing.
I didn't find that in the ordinance.
And we could set the bonding, we could set everything. We could set the bonding for these projects to make them too expensive to do. I mean, we could require,
Money's not an
we
option.
could require, surveys before, after, all that. There's,
So we aren't saying that you guys in particular are like, hey, let's do this. But because obviously we know you all work towards incorporating, have lived here, support everybody else in the area. So we're all on the same page there. But it's short term to think that perhaps in an election or the next board members or heaven forbid something happened to anybody, that 2 of 3 voting members, all of a sudden that mind has changed. So if we're all in agreement that we're not wanting this, why not set a better precedent for the future and make sure that our future boards are here and have like more restrictions? Because we've seen across the states that zoning and commission were able to get it through, right? Voting is a private thing and we don't have to know that. I'm not saying it's any of you guys. You work hard, you put up with us, right? Like doing this. So we're just saying if everybody is so passionate about not wanting this, why can't we work forward that the next, the next committee, the next boards, that they don't have to make decisions because it's such a hard line? Because what the lawyer sent us is saying that the zoning and commission, the planning committee, can vote to change those ordinances in his letter.
But a public hearing has to happen.
Okay, so we're all here as a public trying to talk and, share opinions. Yeah, public.
and
we're
this is the
watching
best thing, to have people come to the meetings. Keep coming to the meetings. Put your name on the ballot at election time so you can get your feelings on the subject. You can get up here and you can rule. You can keep it going.
So you're
Coming to these meetings and giving your opinion is what it's all about. Not getting on Facebook, not going on the internet. Call the people that you voted that are sitting up here. Call them. Talk to them.
We are
Sit down
right
with
now.
them. Don't get on Facebook and start typing away, pulling stuff out of the air.
We're present now, and we've been coming. So that's what's next.
Not listening.
What should we call it, Gabby?
I'm new to this, and I appreciate what Eddie's saying, because this is like a local thing, get our voices heard, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't come to any of these meetings, so I'm trying to educate myself, so I agree with you, Eddie. I do have a question, because I don't know this. What is the planning commission? I've heard 2 or 3, like, is there only 3 people on the? Can somebody explain to me?
John can do that better.
The planning commission consists of 7 members,
Okay.
and everything's got to go through them before it comes to the board. So they give their recommendation, then it comes to the village board will approve it or not approve it. And then once that's done, then you got the public hearings that take place in order for anything to pass.
Does the public vote on it at the public hearing?
No, it's for public input.
Glad there's a public meeting for it.
Yeah.
We want to hear your voices.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do.
No, you don't. That's the problem.
Who's saying that?
Maybe we should get some microphones.
Want to know what's
I want you guys to, instead of letting other addresses, I'm trying to take minutes here, and it's pretty hard when I don't know where the conversation is coming from.
Okay, I still just, because I want to make sure I heard it right, Tom, thank you for that. So my understanding, 7 people,
Yep.
they meet, they discuss, then it goes to either the village board or the town board, is that right?
Yep.
And then, who votes on it? The village board or the town board, or the planning commission? That's what I just didn't catch.
The village or the town board.
Okay. And then within all of that, there's a public hearing, is that what they asked? Okay, thank you. I just need clarification, because like I said, I'm new to all of this. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Yeah.
Let me know if I'm out of order. I'm Glenn Schultz. I don't live in the Redstone or Greenleaf. I'm on the planning commission for Rights of Rockland. And possibly, it looks like most likely in early March, that we're asking a moratorium. I'm not for or against anybody's position, just adding information. The reason we're doing that is we think we do need time to put an ordinance together, because data centers are so unique. Not only the size, not only the energy they use, the water they might or might not use, but there's issues, and I testified in Madison, there's a bill right now. It's been approved by the Senate, it's going to be over in the Senate for a hearing next week. But I testified the fact that I don't believe anybody's ordinances, I don't believe any state statutes are addressing infrasound. I don't want to get into that, just in a clear eyes. We talk a lot about the fact that wind turbines cause infrasound. And I can stand on, give you all the background there, I've been working on this for 15 years. We got many homes that are being abandoned, just like in the Sugar Wind Farm down in southwestern Wisconsin right now. Working with a guy that's really a genius, we've established what's the problem with those. It's infrasonic pulses. Data centers, I don't think will have that problem. The World Health Organization classifies all your codes for insurance companies, the medical profession. They all use these medical codes. The World Health Organization produces those. I didn't realize that until a few months ago. They have one that's vertical from infrasound. I don't think we'll ever have a doctor that will come along and say, oh, you got vertical? You live near a wind turbine. But the fact is that they recognize it as an issue. The medical profession has what they call a nauseogenic range. We're about 10 to 30% of the population are actually going to be probably affected by infrasound. And it'll be nausea, headaches, brain fog, tinnitus, tinnitus, a lot of headaches, a lot of things. The one lady that came up from southwestern Wisconsin before the wind farm was built there, went to stay overnight at Enza's house, one of the abandoned homes. And after she was there for 2 hours, her husband had a catch. She was falling to the floor, vertigo. They now moved out of their farm and they're in Madison, an apartment, after being all set for retirement. But anyway, trying to get off the subject. The research I did so far, it looks like data centers produce infrasound. They're not designed not to produce it. HVAC, heating and air conditioning equipment, can produce that. I worked in public service for 38 years. We had somebody complain that they thought when we started up a coal plant in Weston, in Boston, that they got sick ever since. The company we were at that time, we hired Houston experts, took them to the Weston plant, the signature, the south, and then went to the Weston, almost 2 miles away, and they found the same sound there, and it was infrasound. So we went back and redesigned the heating, ventilating, air handling equipment for that plant. We had, and the problems went away. It's a real thing. The medical profession says that they get that infrasound below 1 hertz. That's 1 cycle per second, basically. If you get it below 1 hertz, that's when not most, 10 to 30% of people should be affected with nausea and so on, as I mentioned. If it gets down to 2 tenths, it's the worst. People look straight. So, all I'm saying, and we're going to probably end up saying in our ordinances, is that we want to make sure that the designers of the data centers, the engineers involved, design to avoid infrasound. sure that you do a pre-construction test for infrasound, which requires a very special equipment to go below the numbers. And we're going to require then a post-construction analysis to make sure they're not losing after they start operating. There's been homes abandoned in Northern Virginia where they have hundreds of data centers. There's been homes abandoned in Ohio, near data centers, and Texas is experiencing a lot of data centers there. People abandoned their homes. The people seem to be complaining about constant hum, the diesel generator sometimes running. My inclination is they don't know what infrasound. They aren't testing for infrasound, so they don't know what the real problem is. Possibly it's infrasound. We think we have to have an ordinance if we can do it planning commission. And most of our agreements so far, we have to have an ordinance to address those unique characteristics. That's the information.
Thank you. Anything else?
Is that something that like the DNR would be, they wouldn't at all be involved with that?
No, there's no.
So with the electronic waste business, how that's disposed of, that would be. And the water, and how about the forever chemicals? That would be, is that interesting?
Yes.
They have to request a CUP, you need a CUP level, so, or it's not gonna get one. You're not gonna allow it to happen. So, I don't know what else to say with that. You're never gonna get CUP.
It can be done.
Well, I think what, for ordinances, I think that was the thing. It would, concern like future businesses, like what are the hazards of having this business? Like there's, you know, we're people who make mess, but what is the impact, like the back end cost, like you said, the health cost, or whatever, to actually look at that particular industry and industries like it. I don't know if that's something DNR does, like I was concerned about the forever chemicals. Or, you know, that e-waste, all the electronic waste business, where does that go in our landfill? Is that heavy metals in our food chain and our water supply? So I think each industry that wants to move in, there are going to be back-end costs and health costs. And I guess we just want more, I would want more care in reviewing the business that's moving in, especially one of this kind of size. And I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't know if the DNR takes care of that or.
But are you saying that you're proposing that you might actually write an ordinance?
Our lawyer is researching it, and it is possible that we are going to write the ordinance. But we want to make sure that we have a research, make sure that we're covered, not just for data centers, but for other things too. Before we get into this stuff,
Sorry,
is not done overnight.
Stephanie, I was asking when,
Well, I'm sorry.
if, you actually are gonna write an ordinance that, you know, you would allow somebody to
So it would be, like you discussed, more general, probably than, from what I'm hearing, discussions last time. I better stand up because I'm almost.
Yes, speak up. We need one.
Slap me. We'll probably have like heavy industrial, and I questioned that at first, but it seems like it is appropriate. And it would probably be something like, I think, highly technological businesses, something like that. That's all being worked out right now. But my main effort right now is infrasound. And again, they can design it, so it's not a problem. I'm not for or against data centers, I'm for, I always say, for public health and safety. That's why I keep bringing it up.
What you're saying is true. We do have the North recycler thing here, which everybody's like, oh, that's a good thing. But I will tell you, when they had a certain kind of generator for years, I slept with high decibel
it's, anything below 200 hertz is usually.
But I know that sound can affect.
Yeah, and if you got some auto sound, you may have infrasound. The meters that people use when they do their tests, don't test them.
I guess is what I was getting at is, with an ordinance, with something that is changing so frequent, with the data center, how they're built, the size, the equipment, the whatnot, wouldn't the conditional use give the town and the village more control, to adapt to those things that are.
Yeah, I know where you're going, and we
You're
discussed
able
that.
to basically.
Yeah, and I'm not, I think there's, I'm just going to talk about the reasoning some other time. But just to have an ordinance that lays out what the issues might be and what should be, prevented. And then still make it a conditional use as part of that ordinance. You've been on the board a long time. I assume that's possible. It wouldn't be a permitted use just because we have the ordinance. We wouldn't have data centers as a permitted use, I don't think.
That's what I'm questioning, if we write an ordinance with parameters of how it can be built, I almost feel like you're stating then that.
Right, I think you can put in the ordinance, other conditions as decided by the board.
Isn't the bill that's coming down from Madison, that passed, the one board?
Yep.
That they're making them data centers, do all the testing and everything before they put them in?
No, my testimony was that they have pre-construction and post-construction testing of infrasound, but on the other stuff, they don't have anything like that in there.
But the infrastructure, they
Yeah,
have.
that bill mainly went for ensuring that general ratepayers won't pay for the data centers.
Right,
Yeah.
but there's another bill that's coming through.
Well, there was one introduced in December, maybe you saw that, AB 722. That one was it's too bad we always got to talk about politics. That was a Democrat bill. It was all Democrats inside.
I'm sure everybody in here does not want it, no matter what. So,
Yeah.
if we gotta go get it done and stop this thing, no matter what. It's gonna take a lot of, everything else. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear you, and I don't want to speak
Yeah.
more.
Thanks.
But basically, the state of Wisconsin, and any of the states, there's freedom of enterprise and so on. So you gotta be careful that you just don't say, we don't want that.
Yeah.
But you can put conditions on it.
Put conditions in place, like always
And you still won't have to approve it. Josh.
Before we wrap up, I just wanted to make sure where we stand. So I think, Stephanie, you mentioned that the attorney is looking at beefing up some of the
Our
ordinances.
attorney is looking at drafting an ordinance, but with the way that technology is moving and rapidly growing so quickly and forever changing so quickly, we want to make sure that we cover more than just the data. So we're not doing right. Exactly.
Totally
Exactly.
agree.
So,
Yeah, we totally agree with that. And another thing we've been talking about is, like, this gentleman is from Rockland, and Hollandtown is looking at what they're doing, and this is all very new to us. And you did mention as well, attorneys are expensive. So it would possibly be a good idea if we could get a joint committee with these multiple towns, our local towns. Not everybody on the board, but we're all learning. So let's get some bases together. He had some really good information. Another town might be working on another area of it. I agree, it shouldn't just be an AI data center. I think it needs to be large businesses. I can't think of the term right now. But can we look at that? That way we're not paying extraordinary attorney fees. I think you mentioned that, Bonnie, that that's been a concern.
Right.
So let's work together. We have a room full of people, residents here that are interested. We've been doing a lot of research on it. We're not experts, but we can help each other in other communities. Can we look at that, and how do we go about doing that? I will head it if you
I
like.
don't know that legally, that the village board itself.
And it has to be on that.
Can set up a committee for that. It is definitely a question I'll shoot over to my lawyer, but I don't know that the village itself can set up that committee.
We don't want to step on grounds we,
Okay.
so, yeah, we'll check with the attorney, see what.
You know, and like I said,
So, do you want to follow up with me in a week and let me know what you find out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then I'll keep everybody else in the loop of where we're at, just so we can keep it moving, because I think it's great. That was the first time I was hearing that you guys were even considering beefing up the ordinances.
it was on the agenda.
Okay, it must have been the part where the microphone wasn't sound, yeah. I didn't quite hear that.
Said nothing further was needed.
No. Yeah, you said nothing further was
Village
needed.
president said nothing further was needed.
Is this the same lawyer that said we don't need to take any further action?
Yes, he is our contracting lawyer.
So he is taking further action though?
On a request from his board. He's being directed by the village board.
Oh, thank you.
Why didn't we start out with that?
Yeah. I did say that already from the beginning.
Dave Warren, 6584 Deuster Road, what you said, quote and unquote, no further action is necessary.
Okay, can I read you the whole thing, please?
Did I not hear that correctly?
The village board has instructed, this is from the attorney. The village board has instructed me to research and prepare a draft ordinance in compliance with legal requirements that can address the issue of data center construction within the village. No action is needed. That's what you heard, the no action is needed. The rest of it is he's still researching.
Okay. Just so you know, there's a 2019 law that went into effect in the state of Wisconsin that you can't restrict what somebody can build if they purchase the land. You might want to have them look into that, just an FYI. I'm dealing
It's
with
not
this.
zoned properly, so.
Doesn't matter if it's zoned or not. If somebody, hold on, have them research the law in 2019 that passed the state legislation that if somebody purchases land, you cannot stop them from building on it. Just have them look into it. I'm dealing with this in a different situation in a different county that this came back and bit us because the lawyer told us we were fine and that the ordinances were set and that he couldn't do what he wants to do. He sued him and he won using that law. So have him look into the 2019 legislation on zoning and land use. Please.
Can you forward me that information?
I'll look it up, yes.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Okay. On that note, there's nothing else. We have the town meeting behind us. So, can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?